and welcome to Contemporary Black Voices, and this is our Hot Topic segment. We got some interesting topics today that we want to discuss with you, but my name is Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, and sitting today with us is Caleb Alexander, who is our regular panel host, and we also have Mario Salas, who is a historian here in the city. So we already know that Trump is on this erasure campaign, especially targeting Black history. We already know that also in any other minority group's history. But how many of you guys know, do you guys know about PragerU or Prager University?
I do. Caleb does too, I bet.
And when people think about PragerU, they think of that it is a university, but it's not. It's a conservative media organization. And they've got PragerU, but they also have PragerU for kids. Now, just for context, if you want, your girl, Candace Owens, has a couple of videos on PragerU. You know, I call them from entertainment purposes only, but she does have some videos out there. Well, as a parent, if you're a parent and you have a child in any type of school, especially public ed, Trump has agreed to allow PragerU to be placed in schools, PragerU kids to be placed in schools. And to my Black parents, you need to have all kind of radars up on this one, because what the videos do is it minimizes a lot of information, a lot of the truth. Okay, especially they've got one about in there about from Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, about slavery. Even one video was saying slavery was not as bad as it's been described. So you need to be aware of if these videos are being shown in schools. And I would even advocate have your child go sit in the cafeteria while the films are being shown. And the reason why I'm saying that, because when I was in the classroom, the Jehovah's Witness kids were allowed to be pulled out the classroom and go sit somewhere else like the cafeteria until the Star Spangled Banner and the Pledge of Allegiance was done. But you really need to watch these videos to see how they are twisting the truth. Thoughts? You said you've seen the videos?
No, but I'll tell you, from personal experience, I had a student once actually come to my office and said, "Have you ever heard of Prager University?" And I pretended like I didn't. And I said, "No, what's that about?" And he said, "Well, can you get it on your computer?" And he put it on the computer. He said, "This kind of refutes everything you just got through saying in class." I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, who credentializes? Does the Southern Association of Universities and Colleges, have they credentialized Prager University?" And he couldn't answer the question. I said, "No, because it's not a university. It's a scam. They call themselves a university in order to fool people on purpose. It's purposely done." And so anybody listening to anything Prager University has to say, PragerU, they ought to call it Prager Fool. Because that's what it's that Prager Fool is what the new name of that place, in my opinion. Yeah. Because everything on that show is total propaganda. And I don't know if they're not too bright either. I mean, when I was in school and they showed a film during the lunch break, I was only interested in eating. I didn't even look at what they had up on the screen. So maybe that's a good idea to keep showing the propaganda at lunch break. The majority of the kids ain't going to look at it. But it's horrible what they're doing. They're just full of lies, telling people slavery was not so bad when they were cutting people's heads off and sticking them on sticks, pikes along the highway, cutting people's bodies apart and feeding them to hogs. Slavery was the most horrible thing that could have ever happened in America. So for them to minimize the horrors of slavery, just a total propaganda, a total disservice to America, a total disservice to education.
And these videos, they target history, climate change, race, and economics. And so it kind of makes sense because it's part of the anti-race, climate change history conversations that we're hearing from the conservative side. What are your thoughts?
If Candace Owens dropped out of freshman year, was it? So, I don't. If you gonna allow Candace Owens to teach your kids economics and history, you got bigger problems. So that's my thing.
From a university that doesn't exist.
Yeah, from an imaginary university where Candace Owens is a teacher. Oh my God, yeah, you got bigger problems. So this is the thing, facts. Feelings are not facts, and so every time you talk to a conservative, they tell you how they feel or what they think, but their thoughts and feelings are not facts, right? And so if you want facts, there are a variety of places you can go to get facts from. There's all kinds of statistics on black wealth and black economics. You can get them from the United Nations. You can get them from McKinsey. There's just all kinds of sources that tell the story, that paint the correct picture about where we are in America, as far as economics, as far as race, as far as the wealth gap, as far as the income gap, as far as the education gap. There's just a variety of sources, and so you don't have to. This is just pure propaganda, and this is the danger of this, right? The danger of this is the rest of the world is moving forward, right? And the rest of the world will continue to move forward. The rest of the world will continue to trade with one another. The rest of the world will continue to develop. The rest of the world's demographic will continue to change. While America's agenda is looking backwards while the rest of the world is moving forward. And the people in charge want to take you back to a time period that is long gone, that we're never going to return to, but just makes you feel good, right? So you want to live in a world where you feel good again about your whiteness, while the rest of the world is surging forward, dealing with one another, trading with each other, developing. And by the time this damage is done and this administration leaves office, this country is going to be in big trouble. It's going to be long-term lasting consequences by the time you wake up and realize the damage of moving backwards while the rest of the world is moving forward. Your kids are going to be in a much worse place off because they're not going to be equipped to deal with the real world.
And that's a big thing. So, to my black parents, you're going to have to be committed to strategic parenting, to where we protect our kids, we prepare our kids, and we empower our kids to where they can move within a society that really undervalues our values. So there are some things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to set aside these images of what Big Mama is too old for this, Big Daddy's too old for this. You're going to have to find your village to help raise these kids so that we can have the little Michaels, we can have the little Fannie Lou Hammers, to where these babies can mobilize and move within the society. Because I have to agree, this whole idea about PragerU, the erasure of Black history, this is just a means to try to demobilize us.
Yeah, no, it's about feel whiteness, feel good.
Make them feel good.
We're gonna feel good about our whiteness, and while you're trying to make your kids feel good, the rest of the world is moving forward and dealing with each other and trading with each other and developing, while you're stuck in your feel good whiteness. And so your kids are gonna try to go out into the real world spouting this nonsense, and they're gonna get embarrassed.
You're getting a degree in nonsense from Prager University.
So I want to slip in. I heard something on the way over here to the studio, and we already know that Trump has taken over D.C., right? So here comes the big lie. He says the Black women in Chicago have written him saying, please come take over Chicago.
Oh, Lord.
Now, the last time I saw some stats, didn't 90% of black women vote for Kamala?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like 97%. It is something, yeah.
And so who are these black women who made that phone call? That's what I want to know.
The ones that went to Prager University.
Yeah.
So Candace Owens, okay.
Yeah.
But I thought that was real interesting. So he's trying to pull us into this mix. I'm talking about
Right.
a black woman has contacted him
Yeah. Yeah.
to come to Chicago, to go to Chicago and bring federalize
God.
Chicago. It's kind of like, are you for real?
Yeah. There is nothing new under the sun.
Probably was some black woman who's a friend of Hulk Hogan or something. Wrestled with him or something.
This idea that this is the same thing they used in the 1995 crime bill, right? One of the most devastating bills to ever hit Black America. Mm-hmm. Locking up wholesale communities, enormous wealth transfer. Right, we're seizing assets. We're taking money out of the black community, and we're transferring this wealth into the white community, into the police departments. And so it was a wholesale transfer of wealth and a criminalization of entire community. And the justification for it, well, black people are asking for it. And so it's like I said, it's nothing new under the sun. We're gonna take over Chicago because black people are asking us to do so.
Black women in particular.
Black women are asking us to take over Chicago, go out there, militarize the police, shoot their kids, arrest their sons. Black women are asking for it, right?
So let's move on to our next topic, Mario. So the federal judge in Texas told Abbott, no, you can't be placing those 10 commandments in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've been following it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask that you kind of lead this discussion.
Well, then if we do that, we have to put the 7 pillars of Islam in there as well. And not only that, it's a little bit of Confucianism and all of the goods and things of life from either Confucius or some of the Hindu stuff as well, because not everybody is going to agree with that. And it's not that the commandments themselves are inherently bad or anything like that, but they're taken out of the Old Testament, number one. And the reason why I say that is because when Jesus came along, the Old Testament became the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. Because he talked about love, talked about understanding, he talked about peace. He didn't talk about eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and all of that. Although that didn't even mean what they said it meant. Mm-hmm. If you knocked out somebody's eye, you could only knock out that person's eye. And if it was the right eye, you had to knock out their right eye. You couldn't knock out the left one. That's what they meant by eye for an eye. It didn't mean you kill somebody. So, but they stretched the truth with everything. And so, what 10 Commandments are probably on every prison wall in the country. 10 Commandments are in a lot of people's houses. People grew up with the 10 Commandments. A lot of friends of mine, parents went to church, took their kids to church, taught them the 10 Commandments. They went to prison. It didn't help often with direct instruction. So putting 10 Commandments on the wall, that's kind of like putting in high school, you remember how they put the board of directors in a bronze plaque on the wall? Nobody could tell you who they were. Nobody paid attention to it. So I don't know. Yeah. It's a symbolic gesture that's almost worthless. Yeah. You ain't going to teach thou shalt not steal by having a sign on the wall. You're not going to do that. Yeah. Thou shalt not steal. You ought to not steal. Your parents would have told you shouldn't steal from other people. That doesn't even have to be on the wall. Yeah. So I don't. The purpose of it is to make everything religious in the old way, not in any new way. That they did that long ago with putting in God we trust on money, as opposed to putting in Jesus we trust on money. They didn't want to do that. It had to be an Old Testament God. It couldn't be the New Testament God, who was totally opposed to what the temple priests were doing.
And see, I don't think these politicians and Abbott have really thought this through. Mm-hmm. Because one of them 10 Commandments talks about thou shalt not lust, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And you can always, again, parents, we always had kids in the classroom back then and today who eye out certain information
Mm-hmm.
and want to have a discussion about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, that commandment
Mm-hmm.
will be a talking point in the classroom. I promise you.
Right.
Dr. Chadwell, yes. You know, the 10 Commandment, you know, says, thou shalt not lust,
Mhm.
thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's, you know.
Right.
And I think my mama covets my neighbor's husband.
Mm.
I think my daddy covets my neighbor's wife. I think your parents want us to talk about that, but we need to talk about that. So you need to know what's going on in your classroom, what's going on in the classroom,
Yeah.
what's being placed in the
Well,
classroom.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring up the point about thou shalt not have any false gods in front of me. Which maybe I would interpret that, thou shalt not have God in front of me. I mean, Trump in front of me. Because people are following him like he's a god.
He's a god, right? And then they have a president who's broken 9 of the teams. So that's the thing, right? But my thing is this, right? All these years, decades, right? We have Mitch McConnell leading the charge, right? We're strict constructionists, right? And we're only gonna elect judges. That's the litmus test. Strict constructionists, right? Other than that, you can't be we have a separation of church and state in this country, right? Where are these strict constructionists right now, right? What happened to these decades of litmus tests my mind is blown, you know what I mean? These people are so hypocritical.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You got the Grams, you know, you got,
Yeah.
we're not going to go too much in that conversation, but we just got a lot of hypocrisy
Absolutely.
in politics. You're asking teachers, they already are exhausted from what they have to do. Now you got these doggone 10 commandments
Right.
in the room, and you've got a John or a Jane who is high level thinking, right? And they studying those 10 commandments, you know, from their desk,
Right.
but they hone in on the one. They hone in on the one, and they want to make it a point of the carpet discussion.
Thou shalt not kill, except
Correct.
if you're attacking the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah, then it's okay, right?
Yeah.
They gotta get one of my kids. Well, my kids are out of school right now, but my kids would have asked them, what about the 42 negative confessions inside, you know, the temples in Egypt? Where did the 10 commandments come from? See, they'll get one of them, you know what I mean? Somebody didn't know. And that's a conversation they want to have, is the origins of the 10 commandments.
So parents, is, you know, be aware what's in the classroom. Be aware that you may be sending a child to school who has the wherewithal to break that down and apply it to what you're seeing going on in your household, and want to make it part of the round carpet discussion.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of, they were talking about worshiping golden
Cows. Yeah.
statues when they said, thou shalt not have another God.
Yeah.
You know. And then, I don't know, maybe a few crazy people were still worshiping golden
Worship
statues.
cows.
I don't know. Or bitcoins. They're gold.
Yeah, and that's they don't want to have that conversation because they were worshiping the goddess Hathor. So you want to know where these stories originate from, right? You have a people who are coming out of Egypt. They understood what the 42 negative confession was. They understood about the goddess Hathor. And so you want to talk about biblical stories and the derivative of these stories, the flood, like the epic, which a derivative of the epic of Gilgamesh, or the idea of let me stop. I'm going to stop because I don't want to be. We're not going to get into this. I'll stop.
But all I'm just saying, parents, you need to be aware. Because I'm telling you, your babies come to school, especially after a good, solid weekend, and they've got a story to tell. So UPS has sent out letters to several of their drivers, I guess to all drivers, notifying them that they're being replaced by AI, and wants to pay them $1,800 per year that they have been working as part of their severance package. So, of course, TikTok is lit right now, and I don't blame these folks. Now, as a consumer of UPS, I'm trying to figure out how this AI bit's going to work. You know,
Right.
Is there going to be is the driver now a rider to help deliver the package? Or are they going to have that little bitty truck-like thing that they're going to knock on your door, ring the bell, just leave it on your front door, take a picture and send it to you? How's that going to work? Well, anyway, I want to look at this severance piece from the context of black folks, right? So UPS employs approximately 481,000 people, and about 12% of its workers identify as black. So kind of breaking that 12% down as possible drivers and everything, they're saying that approximately 39,000 to 40,000 of them are black drivers. So so this is again going to hurt black families, black singles who are drivers.
They'll probably use a robot dog to take the package up to the door. You've seen those robot dogs. And maybe they'll paint the dogs black and claim, well, we're still, we're diverse. Everybody else's robot dog is silver. I mean, there's no telling what they'll do. And it's really crazy because you can't keep your burglar alarm running correct when your Wi-Fi goes out. This technology drive is not foolproof. No. And it's so many hiccups with technology. It's horrible. Really what's going on is horrible because people rely on technology for so much and then it fails.
Yep.
So to me, some of this AI stuff and some of the technology that people take for granted until it fails, they're going to find out the hard way. It'll fail. A big thunderstorm will knock out that robot delivering the package to the store, to the door. Or the drone, they may drop off the package by drone. Somebody may shoot the drone down by the shotgun out the window, thinking it's some kind of a tracking device. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could happen with technology. And I'm not against technology, but I am against the understanding that it's a cure-all. It's not a cure-all.
Right.
I'm just trying to again envision how this package will get from the truck to my front door.
Or even,
porch.
I'm hoping they're not talking about driverless trucks because Tesla has shown us we're not there yet with these driverless cars. You hear about accident after accident after accident. I know they were trying to move toward just driverless 18-wheelers and try to move into that space. They would need to perfect that before they now take them off the highways and then put them in the residential neighborhoods where kids are running around playing. And now you have driverless vehicles that are stopping and just all throughout the neighborhoods.
And breaking down in front of your driveway.
That too, right? So I'm more comfortable with a drone delivery like Amazon, come drop off drone delivery. I'm more comfortable with that than I am with driverless truck ride through the neyborhood. And again, how are we going to get from the truck?
Especially when they're bigger packages, big packages. How are they going to work?
Let's order a sofa and see.
Well, they could put a tracking device on your house while they're dropping the package.
There's a lot to consider there. I hope the leadership at UPS hasn't overstepped this. Before we move on to this next topic, CEO from Target had to step down. Because they took a huge financial loss during the protests. So that's telling us that our dollars speak volumes.
Now, the question is, we know that our dollars speak volumes. Are we able to sustain that kind of unity and apply it across different sectors?
Well, they're talking about possibly Dollar General. Because Dollar General is placed in a lot of these different food desert areas, but they have never reinvested any of the monies back into these black communities. So there is a talk about Dollar General. But he's gone. Maybe he's going over to Dollar General and saying, don't do it, don't do it.
No, it's a lesson.
Racism is expensive, isn't it?
Not really. You look at a cost benefit analysis of it's not really expensive. It still remains very profitable for the people in charge. But no, I mean, just my question for us though is the sustainability of that kind of movement and the application of that kind of power where it really matters and where it really counts. And what kind of pressure points can we exert where the change will be where it matters? Target is one company. Mm-hmm. Let's use Target as a test case, right? Now, how can we apply the same kind of pressure to healthcare and education and even political power? You know what I mean? And so let's use this as a test case, but and let's see if we can sustain or even broaden that unity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know if we apply that to Dollar General. People in the hood ain't gonna roll with that Dollar General, but let's see how we can.
If we can.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And let's apply it where it matters.
So on our last topic here, blacks need not apply. Now this really is an older article, but I still want to discuss it in that with this moving, especially of Mrs. Cook from the Federal Reserve Board. They're going after anybody black and trying not to prevent them from elevating. So back around, I'm going to say, this article was written probably around January, February, where the military usually goes out to these black engineering events and recruits. Active duty military. Well, they've stopped going out to these events. They're not hiring our young men who might have, and women who have graduated from the
HBCUs and the engineers,
or any type of who are engineers. Right. So what do we do to counter this? I mean, what do we do?
Dr. Salas, you want to take this one?
Well, we got a lot to do. They're just from one angle. It's every kind of way. I know a lot of people some time ago started these boycotts against Target, against Walmart, and all of that. And it seemed to be somewhat successful for a while. Maybe that need to pick up the pace because that seemed to be
this is the military.
Yeah, no, but that seemed to be pick up the pace in that realm. In the military, though, who controls that? It's controlled by the commander-in-chief, and you know who he is. We know who he is. And so how can you change that when he has the pen to fire anybody he likes, demote anybody he likes or doesn't like, I should say. And so how do you counter that? But I think you still can counter it with mass protest. Maybe not in that case in the form of boycott, but mass protests, I think, are still an effective weapon because ultimately Congress makes a lot of these decisions, or committees in Congress make a lot of these decisions, and those congressmen have to be elected. And I like what Governor Newsom is trying to do out in California to counter Texas with at least removing 5 Republicans out of office like Texas is trying to do here. Now, that doesn't mean the red states aren't going to do that somewhere else as well, but also blue states might do it too.
Yeah.
So when we get to that point, if we get to that point, it'll be total chaos. It'll be total chaos. And it kind of won't matter who's working at the Pentagon and who's not, because the sides will be split. The division will be really in your face kind of division. There's enough of it now. But if that happens, I mean, like I've even heard soldiers say, and of course I wouldn't tell anybody who they are, I've even heard soldiers say, if I'm ever ordered to attack my own community, I'm going to turn my gun in the other direction. And so you see something really ugly is possible to happen with that kind of narcissistic leadership at the top. So ain't a lot we can do in that regard, but mass protests, I think, makes a difference, especially when you're talking about voters and being able to remove congressmen who are going along with these crazy riots.
My take on it, and I'll get on my high horse for a little bit, but again, when you talk the situation where again, blacks need not apply, right? So we saw them attack blacks in every single position. Last year we were sitting here and we were talking about Claudine Gay, and we were talking about black attacking black women in academia, and then we saw them attack black women in medicine, and we saw them remove every single black or female officer, high-ranking officer. They're gone. We saw them enact changes in their recruitment and health policies, right? To where blacks who suffer from skin diseases, folliculitis, right? And so the policy they're enacted are not going to allow black men into the Marine Corps or into high-level combat positions because we're more prone when we shave to razor bumps, right? Something that's simple and treatable or whatever is razor bumps. They're going to use that to keep us out of the military, which I've always said they need a Waffen SS, right? And they're going to transform the Marine Corps into their version of the SS. But they're removing us out of these spaces. They're removing us out of these rooms. They're trying to go after the sister who's on the Federal Reserve Board. Again, it is the wholesale blanket removal of black people from positions of power, getting us out of the room, right? So again, how do we counter this? And here's where I get on my high horse. We deal with one another, right? We can recreate or create black economic ecospheres. We've done it in the past. We've created black Wall Streets. It's a matter of us doing business with us dealing with us. There are, again, I'll say it again, there's an entire continent of people who have black hair care products, right? You can get black hair care products from Africa. You can import goods and services that are relevant to your hair texture, your skin color, everything. There's an entire continent who's already met this challenge, right? It's about us dealing with each other. They need black engineers. If they don't hire you here,
You may have to go overseas.
you may have to go over there, and you will get hired. We just have to deal with us, right? And so, with that being said, I'll get off my high horse. You know what I mean? But it's about us relying on us, dealing with us, uplifting us.
Well, and community has a role to play. I mean, I'm thinking of the Black Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, that's going to be something that he'll start attacking that. He's already doing it, really.
Right.
It didn't happen.
But community support of that outside of the military is important. There still has to be some kind of protest as this stuff begins to roll over us to prevent it from going in too far gone. But they're very strategic about how they attack different things.
Oh, yeah.
I know he has Tuskegee Airmen on the radar, but it's not something he wants to do right away.
Right.
He's looking for something easier to attack,
Right.
like blacks need not apply.
Right.
Something easier to attack to eventually
Right.
start a bigger attack.
Yeah.
And that's what he does, takes little pieces at a time. Kind of like going down the field in a football game. You run the ball here, look for an opening there, and then you throw the bomb after you've worn the defense out. Well, we can't afford to be worn out. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot to say today.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a lot to say and talk about next week also.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we want to thank you for listening to us. And this is Contemporary Black Voices, where we also want to acknowledge our producer, Carl Booker. He sits very patiently with us, putting these shows together. We want to thank you, Mario, for sitting with us.
Yeah, tell Chris I told when you see him again, tell him I said he can't come back. I'm just going to stay here.
Okay, I will.
So Chris, I think we've got a much more handsome version of Chris.
I won't tell him you said that.
But anyway, this is Contemporary Black Voices. We ask you again to subscribe and share the videos with your friends. And again, Contemporary Black Voices, where we telling our stories our way.
That's a wrap.